"We need fresh ideas, not old blood," Ethan declared at the board meeting, staring directly at me as he spoke. His voice carried a venom I'd never heard before, each word a dagger aimed at my legacy. "My name is Lucas Hart, 52 years old and, until 15 minutes ago, Chief Preservations Officer at Hart and Family Builders in Boise, Idaho. The company my great-uncle founded with a single van and a toolbox. The company my mother expanded into a regional powerhouse. The company I helped grow into the second-largest residential contractor in 4 states. I'd poured my soul into every blueprint, every handshake, every late-night crisis call." I didn't react when Ethan said it. I just grinned, leaned back in my seat, and gave a slight nod. The room fell silent. Aunt Clara averted her gaze to her notes. Sarah from accounting began rearranging her files. No one met my eyes except Ethan, who maintained that smug grin like he was doing me a favor. His eyes glinted with triumph, as if he'd already erased me from the company's history. "That's ambitious," I said at last. "Best of luck." Then I stood, adjusted my tie, and left without another word. The echo of my footsteps on the polished floor felt like the final note of a song I'd spent decades composing. They probably expected me to protest, to shout or make a scene or remind them I was the one who secured the Riverfront Estates deal when we were too small to manage it, or that I navigated us through 2011 when most of our rivals collapsed, or that I personally nurtured ties with our top 3 clients. But that would have played into Ethan's hands, letting him pose as the composed, logical executive against his impulsive older cousin. He'd planned this moment, I realized, rehearsed it in his mind like a predator savoring the kill. So instead, I walked to the parking lot. I stood by my SUV for a moment. The Boise sun beat down, reflecting off the chrome, mocking the chill settling in my bones. 25 years with the family business. Started as a site assistant at 27, fresh from university with an engineering degree no one valued until I used it to double our efficiency. Worked 80-hour weeks through my 40s, skipped holidays, missed my son's soccer games, missed my 2nd anniversary, all for Hart and Family. Every sacrifice had been a brick in the foundation of this company, and now Ethan was tearing it down with a smile. I checked my phone and saw the email from yesterday, from Olivia Reed at Pinnacle Realty, confirming they were proceeding with LH Construction instead of Hart and Family for their new $5,800,000, 0 cents retail plaza. My new venture, my client. The email was timestamped 2:17 a.m., a desperate late-night confirmation of loyalty from a client who'd seen Ethan's true colors. Ethan didn't realize it yet, but he'd just ousted the one person keeping Hart and Family vital to our key accounts. He'd thought he'd won, but I held the keys to the relationships that kept this company alive. He'd been so preoccupied with lenders, shareholders, and high-praise analysts, he hadn't noticed that every major project over the past 12 years thrived because of the trust I'd earned. And now that trust was following me. As I stood there, a text from Olivia flashed on my screen. "We're with you, Lucas, always." I climbed into my SUV and left Hart and Family behind for good. Something told me Ethan would be in touch soon, but would he beg for forgiveness or come swinging with threats? I grew up watching my mother shape Hart and Family. She'd come home with sawdust on her boots and fire in her voice, talking about framing houses that would shelter families for decades. Her hands, rough from years on job sites, would gesture wildly as she spoke, painting visions of homes that would outlast us all. Ethan and I would sit at the dining table, soaking in her stories of bids won and lessons hard learned. She'd always closed the same way. "Someday you two will lead this together." Her words were a promise, a sacred bond I believed we'd both honor. Ethan is 5 years my junior, always the sharper one, at least academically. Elite prep school, top-tier MBA from Stanford, summer gigs with venture capital firms in Seattle. He'd returned from those summers with slick jargon and a swagger that grated on my nerves, but I brushed it off as ambition. I went to a regional college, then straight into the family trade. My mother never admitted it, but I knew she was priming Ethan for the top seat while I mastered the craft from the trenches. She'd watch me haul lumber with a quiet pride, but her eyes lit up when Ethan presented spreadsheets. For years, it clicked. I oversaw the builds, the clients, the actual construction. Ethan managed the finances, the expansion plans, the vision. We were a solid duo, or so I thought. Looking back, I missed the signs. His late-night calls with investors, the way he'd linger after board meetings, whispering with allies. The rift began about 2 years ago. Subtle at first. Ethan started leaving me out of shareholder briefings. "Just budget matters, Lucas. You'd find it dull." His tone was casual, but there was a sharpness beneath it, like a blade hidden in silk. He brought in advisors without consulting me, hired new site supervisors who answered to him, not me. One of them, a smug outsider named Derek, smirked when I questioned his methods, as if he knew something I didn't. Then he began attending client meetings solo, meetings I'd always led. When I questioned it, he'd claim the clients requested him. But when I followed up with those clients, they were puzzled. "We wanted you, Lucas. Your cousin said you were swamped." Their confusion stung, but it was the betrayal in Ethan's lie that cut deepest. Last spring, when my mother announced her retirement, I saw the writing on the wall. The announcement came at a family dinner, her voice trembling as she passed the torch, unaware of the storm brewing between us. The shareholder meeting where they named Ethan president was a mere formality. I sat there, nodding, shaking hands, playing my role. But inside, I was reeling. Replaying every moment I'd trusted Ethan, every sacrifice I'd made for a company now slipping through my fingers. What no one knew was that I'd already anticipated this. For the past 10 months, I'd been laying groundwork on my own. Nothing unethical, nothing that breached my contract. Just quiet talks with our top clients about what might happen if I left. I'd meet them in dimly lit diners, their voices low as they pledged their loyalty, their trust a lifeline in the chaos. "You're the reason we stick with Hart," Olivia Reed from Pinnacle had told me over coffee one evening. "If you start fresh, we're with you, no question." I heard the same from others. Nathan at Skyline Ventures, Emma at Urban Edge Properties. Together, they accounted for over 70% of our yearly income. Their words were a shield, a promise that I wasn't alone in this fight. I filed the LLC for LH Construction 8 months ago, secured a loan, leased a workspace, and began discreetly recruiting our top crew leads and supervisors. I wasn't poaching, I was planning. There's a distinction. Every step was meticulous, a chess move in a game Ethan didn't even know we were playing. Ethan was so fixated on claiming the presidency, he never saw his cornerstone slipping away. He was too busy posing for photos with investors, oblivious to the loyalty I'd built on the ground. The day after my dismissal, I arrived at the modest office I'd rented on the east side of town. Nothing lavish, just a front desk and 3 small rooms above, a law firm. The door still bore the prior tenant's name. I hadn't gotten around to updating it. The faint hum of traffic outside was a reminder of the world moving on, while inside, I was rebuilding my future. I'd barely sat down when my phone buzzed. "Ethan?" I let it go to voicemail. His first message was calm, almost smug, but the second had a frantic edge, a crack in his polished facade. It rang again, then again. Finally, I picked up. "Lucas, what's going on?" His voice had that sharp edge it got when he was rattled. "Olivia Reed just called to say Pinnacle is pulling all their contracts from us. They've signed with some outfit called LH Construction." "Sounds like a challenge," I said, keeping my tone even. "Did you do this? Is this you?" "I secured my path just like you did." He went quiet for a beat. "These are Hart and Family's clients. They belong to the company." "No, Ethan. They were my clients. I built those bonds. I earned their loyalty. You thought you were cutting loose an operations officer yesterday, but you actually cut the one person those clients wanted to work with. This isn't legal. We'll take you to court." "Go for it. My attorney says I'm in the clear. I didn't solicit them while employed. I didn't take confidential data. I didn't violate any non-compete because I never signed one. I'm just a builder, building elsewhere, and my clients are coming along." Another long pause. I could almost hear him recalculating, realizing how deeply he'd misjudged. "Lucas, come on, we're family. We can sort this out." That's when something shifted in me. Not rage, something sharper, final. It was as if a door slammed shut, locking away the naive trust I'd once had in him. "We were family yesterday, too. Didn't stop you from shaming me in front of the entire board." That was business, not personal. I nearly laughed. "The family name is on the sign, Ethan. It's all personal." "Look, I screwed up. Come back. We'll figure it out together." I glanced at my desk, where I'd laid out the initial designs for the Pinnacle project. My project now. The blueprints were a map of my new beginning, each line a defiance of Ethan's betrayal. "No," I said simply. "I'm good where I am." "Lucas, you don't get it. It's not just Pinnacle. Skyline called, and Cornerstone too. They're all saying the same thing." Now I did laugh. "I get it perfectly. You're calling because you're in a bind, not because you want me back. There's a difference." Mom's going to be livid. That hit hard, but I pushed through. She wanted us to run it together. That was your call to make, not mine. The silence stretched. When Ethan spoke again, his voice was softer, smaller. "What do you want? A payout? A board role? Name it." "I don't want anything from you. I've got what I need. These clients are over 70% of our revenue. The bank will pull our financing if we lose them all at once." "Like I said," I replied, "sounds like a challenge." Then I hung up. I sat there for a long time staring at the phone. I didn't feel the triumph I'd expected, just a hollow sense of closure. The weight of 25 years pressed against my chest, each memory a reminder of what I'd lost and what I'd gained. The final thread severed, the last bridge burned. I was truly on my own now. And oddly, it felt right. But a nagging voice whispered, had I underestimated Ethan's next move? 5 days after my dismissal, Aunt Clara appeared at my temporary office. She'd been Mom's trusted advisor for 35 years before stepping back to a board role. Her presence was a jolt, her stern gaze carrying the weight of decades of family battles. She found me sifting through applications for crew supervisors I was trying to hire. "Nice setup," she said, eyeing the plain walls and leased furniture, very grassroots. "It's temporary," I said, not standing. "What do you want, Clara?" She sighed and sat across from me. "The board held an emergency session yesterday. Ethan told us what you did." "What I did?" "That's an interesting spin. He says you poached our biggest clients, says you've been plotting this for months." I set down the application I was reviewing. "I built ties with those clients for decades. I delivered their projects on time, under budget. I earned their trust. Ethan fired me. They followed me. End of story." Clara leaned forward. "The board's discussing legal action, Lucas. They're not bluffing. Let them. My lawyer says I'm clean. This isn't just about legality. It's about what's right. Your mother built that company for both of you." That stung more than I wanted to admit. Mom wanted us to run it together. Ethan chose differently. He made a mistake. He owns that. A mistake is missing a deadline. He blindsided me in a board meeting after months of sidelining me. "That's a plan, not a mistake." Clara rubbed her temples. "The company's in trouble, Lucas. Serious trouble. The bank's jittery about our loans without those major contracts. I know exactly what shape the company's in. I ran the operations for 18 years. Then you know this could sink everything. Everything your mother built. Everything you built." For the first time, I felt a flicker of doubt. Had I gone too far, or was this the price of freedom? "What are you asking me to do?" "Come back. Bring the clients back. We can rework the structure." "Co-presidents? Maybe you and Ethan as equals." For a moment, I entertained it. Then I recalled Ethan's smirk when he fired me, the glee in his eyes. "No," I said. "That won't work." Clara stood, visibly frustrated. "Damn it, Lucas. This is your family. Ethan should have thought of that before he fired me. Your mother's heartbroken. She's talking about coming out of retirement to clean this up." Another gut punch. Mom was 68, with arthritis and strict doctor's orders to rest. Tell Mom to stay put. This isn't her mess to fix. Clara headed for the door, then paused. She turned, her eyes narrowing as if weighing a secret she hadn't shared. "The board meeting's tomorrow at 2 p.m. They're voting on the lawsuit. One more thing. Ethan's been calling all your subcontractors, warning them that anyone who works with you will be barred from Heart projects forever." After she left, I felt the pressure mounting. My phone started buzzing with frantic calls from carpenters and masons I'd relied on. They couldn't risk losing Heart's business, they said. They were sorry. Each call was a blow, unraveling the network I'd spent years cultivating. I'd expected Ethan to retaliate, but not like this. He was trying to cripple me. He wasn't just defending his territory. He was waging war, scorching the earth to leave me nothing. Without dependable subcontractors, I couldn't fulfill the commitments I'd made to my clients. By nightfall, I'd lost pledges from nearly every trade contractor I needed. The office felt smaller, the walls closing in as my dream teetered on the edge of collapse. My meticulous plans were fraying. I'd have to source new subcontractors, likely from out of state, at steeply higher costs. Costs that would devour most of my projected margins. Every calculation I ran ended in the same grim reality. Ethan was outmaneuvering me. Ethan hadn't just countered. He'd pinpointed my weakness and struck with precision. He wasn't just protecting Hardin family anymore. He was trying to crush LH Construction before it could take root. And I had to admit, he was doing a hell of a job. The next morning, I drove to see my mother. I hadn't been to my parents' house since this all started. Their home sat on 10 acres outside the city, the first big purchase Mom made when the company took off in the early 90s. The gravel drive crunched under my tires, a sound that once meant safety but now felt like a warning. She'd always said a builder needs land where the sky feels open. The vast Idaho sky stretched above, indifferent to the turmoil below. Dad answered the door, his face lined with concern, but he hugged me tightly and led me to the deck where Mom sat, gazing across the fields. "Lucas," she said without turning. Her voice sounded frailer than I remembered. "Mom." I took the seat beside her. For a while we sat in silence. The air was thick with unspoken questions, the weight of a fractured family pressing down. Finally she spoke. "Your cousin says you're trying to ruin the company. That's not what I'm doing." "Then what do you call it?" I chose my words carefully. "I'm building something of my own after Ethan forced me out." Mom turned to me, her eyes still piercing despite her age. "You couldn't work it out? You two were meant to carry this forward together." "Tell that to Ethan. He's the one who fired me in front of the whole board." "And now you're taking our biggest clients? They chose to follow me. I didn't steal anything." Mom sighed deeply. "It's worse than you know, son." Something in her tone sharpened my focus. "What do you mean?" She looked out at the fields again. "The company's not as strong as everyone thinks. These past few years we've been stretched thin." "Stretched how? We've been profitable every year." "On paper, yes, but Ethan's been borrowing heavily, using future contracts as collateral. Those 3 big clients you took, their projects were already tied to loans." It felt like a blow to the chest. "How much are we talking?" "Enough that without those projects, the bank could demand full repayment." "Why would he do that? We've always been cautious with debt." Mom's expression darkened. "He had visions. Big growth. New regions. He sold the board on it. As the future." She paused. I should have watched closer before I stepped back. The puzzle pieces clicked. Ethan's odd behavior over the past year, the new consultants, the closed-door meetings. He hadn't just been maneuvering to push me out. He'd been leveraging the company to the brink for his bold plans, and now I held the match that could burn it all down. And now those loans were at risk because I'd taken the clients they were built on. "Why tell me this?" I asked. "Because you need to know what's really at stake. It's not just your cousin's ego or your bruised feelings. If Hardin family fails, a lot of people get hurt. Workers, vendors, your father and me for that matter." The weight settled on me. "What about the lawsuit? Clara says the board's voting today." "There you are. Ethan's pushing for it hard. And you? What do you think they should do?" Mom looked at me, her eyes weary. "I think a lawsuit would just destroy what's left of this family." As I drove back to my office, my thoughts churned. I'd been so focused on Ethan's betrayal, I hadn't seen the full scope. He hadn't fired me just to claim the spotlight. He'd fired me because I was the prudent one, the one who'd have challenged his reckless expansion. His ambition had blinded him, but my departure was exposing his gamble to the world. My departure with those clients wasn't just a blow to his pride. It was exposing the fragile empire he'd built. No wonder he was fighting so ruthlessly. But had I miscalculated too, thinking I could walk away clean? The question was, what was I going to do? I'd wanted fairness, not ruin. I'd wanted to create something of my own, not demolish everything my family had made. But Ethan had boxed us all into a corner. Every mile I drove felt like a countdown to a decision I wasn't ready to make. By the time I reached my office, I knew I needed a different path, one that safeguarded Elth Construction without obliterating Hart and Family entirely. The office was quiet, the hum of the air conditioner a stark contrast to the storm in my mind. I canceled my afternoon meetings and called Olivia Reed from Pinnacle Realty. "Olivia, I need a favor," I said when she answered. "A big one. After all the times you've saved our projects, name it, I need you to meet with Ethan, hear him out, maybe even consider splitting your contracts between my new company and Hart." Pause. "You're asking me to give business back to the company that fired you, the one threatening to sue you?" "It's complicated," I said. "Family usually is." "That's a big ask, Lucas." "I know. I'm asking anyway." After Olivia reluctantly agreed, I made similar calls to my other 3 major clients. Each call was tough. They were baffled, some upset. "You're sending us back to him after he betrayed you?" Nathan from Skyline had snapped. "Trust me," I'd replied. "This isn't surrender, it's strategy." They'd followed me because they trusted me, and now I was sending mixed messages. But eventually, they all agreed to at least meet with Ethan. Next, I called my attorney and asked her to draft a proposal by morning. She was skeptical, her voice sharp over the phone. "You're giving him a lifeline after what he did?" "Not for him," I said, "for everyone else." Finally, I called Ethan directly. "Surprised you answered," I said when he picked up. "I've been trying you for days." His voice sounded strained. "I know about the loans, Ethan. Mom told me everything." A long silence. "So now you see why this is so critical?" "I do, and I have a proposal. Meet me tomorrow, 8 a.m. my office." "Why would I do that?" "Because I've asked all 3 clients to reconsider working with Hart. They've agreed to meet you." Another pause. "What's the catch?" "No catch. Just be there." I hung up before he could press further. That night, I barely slept, replaying the plan, searching for weaknesses, ways it could backfire. Every creak of the house felt like a warning, every shadow a reminder of the stakes. By morning, my eyes were gritty, but my resolve was firm. Ethan arrived at 8:00 sharp, looking as sleepless as I felt. He wore one of his tailored suits, but his confidence was gone, his eyes weary. "Sit," pointing to the chair across my desk. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, not sitting. "Why help after what I did?" "I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Mom, for the workers, for the family name on the side." He sighed. "So, what's the proposal?" I slid a document across. LH Construction and Hart and Family form a strategic alliance. We split the 3 major clients, 2 for Hart, 1 for me. That should satisfy the bank while giving me enough to grow. He scanned it, brow furrowing. "This says I step down as president." "It does." "Mom returns briefly while the board hires a new president, someone impartial. And the expansion plans? Paused indefinitely. The company needs to stabilize first." Ethan leaned back, eyeing me. "So you get your payback after all?" "This isn't payback. It's about saving what matters and letting go of the rest." "And if I say no?" "Then I keep all 3 clients, you default on your loans, and Hart and Family probably fold." "Your call." He stared at the document, calculating, searching for an out. His fingers twitched, betraying the panic beneath his calm exterior. The Ethan I knew would have rejected it outright. But this Ethan, beaten and cornered, wasn't that man. "The board won't go for this," he said finally. "They'll light insolvency even less." He picked up a pen, hesitated, then signed. As he stood to leave, he looked at me directly for the first time. I thought I was doing what was best, for the company. I didn't respond. Some things don't warrant an answer. His footsteps echoed as he left, each one a reminder of the chasm between us. After he left, I called Mom to update her, then the clients to confirm the new arrangement. By mid-afternoon it was settled. Not the victory I'd envisioned, not a clean break, but something viable, something that could endure. It was a fragile truce, a bridge built on necessity rather than trust. Sometimes that's all you get. 8 months later, I stood on the construction site of the Pinnacle Retail Plaza. The foundation was set, steel beams rising against the horizon. My project, my company. The clang of metal and hum of machinery were a symphony of my new beginning. Across town, Hart and Family was still standing. Mom had returned briefly to steady the ship. The new president, a pragmatic woman with 25 years in project management, was gradually restoring the company's credibility and finances. Her no-nonsense approach was a stark contrast to Ethan's flashy ambition, a reminder of what the company had lost. Ethan had left Idaho entirely, taking a role with a real estate firm in Oregon. We hadn't spoken since he signed the proposal, but whispers reached me, rumors of his struggles, his charm failing to mask his missteps in a new market. Footsteps approached, and I turned to see Olivia Reed, hard hat in hand. "Looking solid, Lucas," she said, surveying the site. "On track?" "3 weeks ahead, actually," he nodded. "Not surprised. That's why we stuck with you." She paused. "Your cousin called me last week." That caught me off guard. "Ethan, what did he want?" "To apologize, believe it not. Said he messed up letting you go. Said you were the one who really got what made the company tick." I didn't know how to respond. He also said he's launching something new in Portland. Asked if I had any contacts there. "And do you?" Olivia shrugged. "A couple. I gave him some names." She studied me. "That okay with you?" I considered it. "Yeah, it's fine." We walked the site, discussing schedules and supply chains, standard construction talk. But my thoughts kept drifting to Ethan, his apology, his new venture. Was he rebuilding or running from his mistakes? Maybe that was the Hart way after all, not tearing each other apart, but building something lasting. Not quite forgiveness, but a step toward it. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the site, a reminder that even broken things could cast a new light. Exactly 18 months after my dismissal, I parked outside Hart and Family's headquarters. I hadn't returned since walking out of that board meeting. The building hadn't changed, but the company had. They'd scaled back, focusing on smaller, sustainable projects, no more lofty expansion dreams. The sign out front looked weathered, a silent testament to the battles fought within. Mom was fully retired again. The new president, Karen, was making steady headway repairing what Ethan nearly broke. Her leadership was a quiet strength, a nod to the values Mom had instilled. I'd kept my word. LH Construction focused on our one major client, not siphoning more business from Hart. We'd grown, carefully, to 45 employees and a strong reputation for reliable work. Every project was a testament to my resilience, a brick in the legacy I was building from scratch. I wasn't there for a deal or contract. Mom had asked me to come, said there was something to see. Her call had been brief, her voice warm but cryptic, stirring a mix of curiosity and dread. Inside, familiar faces nodded, some seemed surprised to see me. Who whispered as I passed, their eyes flickering with respect or pity, I couldn't tell which. I took the elevator to the top floor. Mom was waiting in the boardroom, the same one where Ethan fired me. But the room was different. The flashy decor was gone, replaced by photos of Hart and Family projects spanning decades. The air smelled faintly of fresh paint, a sign of renewal I hadn't expected. And there, on the wall behind the head of the table, were 3 framed images. Great uncle with his first van, Mom at the groundbreaking of our first major housing tract in 1994, and me, 12 years ago, shaking hands with the governor after finishing the riverfront estates ahead of schedule. "Karen's idea," Mom said, watching me take it in. "She said we needed to honor our roots." I nodded, unable to speak. The photos were more than memories. They were a reclaiming of the legacy Ethan had tried to erase. "You built something good, son," Mom said softly. "Your own legacy. I'm proud of you." "Thanks, Mom." We didn't mention Ethan. We didn't need to. Some things shatter and can't be mended, but that doesn't mean you can't build something new from what remains. As I stood there, I felt the weight of the past lift, replaced by a quiet certainty that I'd found my place. I walked out of Hart and Family for the second time, but this time I walked out whole. The Boise skyline stretched before me, a canvas of possibilities, and for the first time in years, I felt ready to build without looking back.